Today on Down with Dedee, my mom will be having a conversation with Rich Gurman.
Rich, thank you
Dee.
so much for coming on my show, Down with Dee. I am so honored to have you on.
Oh,
Dude, you are such a fascinating person. First of all, I just want to say that we're now working together, which I'm so excited about,
thank
with this amazing organization, brand spanking new, called Animal Refuge Network, and they're working on a lot of things, which we'll go into later. But one of the most exciting things was introducing me to you on what you're doing called One Whale Organization, right?
yes.
Tell us what it is because I'm so excited to be part of this.
You want a little backstory of how it
Well,
all kind of came to be,
yeah,
or
because believe it or not everybody knows about Vladimir, the beluga, Russian
never
beluga.
say his name right?
I wait, what I say? Oh God,
You said
what is
Vladimir.
again? It's
You always
Vladimir.
say it.
Oh,
Vol.
oh,
So let me
Vladimir.
explain. The Norwegian word for whale is Vol, and
Okay.
because he came from Russia, it's a play on Vladimir. So it became Valdemir. The Norwegian locals named him. I had nothing to do with it because I
Oh,
wouldn't have named him anything that sounded that close to the most hated man in the
I
world.
know. Well, that's why I keep getting so
We just call him
confused.
Baldy. We'll call him Baldy. But let me let me share a little backstory. How about that?
Yeah,
You
thank
like
you.
stories? Good. So I live in Laguna Beach, California, down the road from you. And every day for the last 13 years, I wake up in the morning, I grab my paddleboard, I paddle out into the ocean, and I have encounters with dolphins and whales. I've calculated almost 30,000 miles. So I paddled more than the circumference of the entire planet, but I've done it all here in Laguna Beach. And
Mm.
I've had a couple thousand encounters with pretty much every species of dolphin and whale you could imagine, including blue whales and orcas and humpback whales and gray whales and bottlenose dolphins and Rizzo's dolphins and common dolphins. So I think my point is I've just done the same thing every single day consistently. And because of that, I've made some pretty amazing connections to people like you.
Mm.
And a connection that I made a few years ago now was to a filmmaker that was documenting the story of this whale that showed up, a beluga whale, a white whale that showed up in a harbor in the northernmost city in the world, which is Hammerfest, Norway. It's as far north as you can go on the planet and have actual human beings living there. It's a really cute, quaint little town of 11,000 people.
Mm.
And this whale showed up and he was wearing a harness. And the harness had a buckle, and the buckle read Equipment St. Petersburg. So it is believed that this whale, we already explained how he got his name. We call him Valdi for short.
Thank you. I
Uh,
can pronounce that, Valdi.
Valdi's easier. It is believed that he was part of a Russian military program for many years. So he is a trained captive, formerly captive whale that's been living in the fjords of Norway since April of 2019. He's alone. He's displaced. Belugas are probably the most social of all whales.
Mm.
And so he's alone, which makes it very sad. And he seeks out human companionship for social interaction because he doesn't have any other whales. And it's the cutest thing ever because he's the
Oh,
cutest whale you've ever seen. I'm sure
he
you can.
really is. I just
He's
want to kiss his little snout.
Yeah, he's adorable. He would like that. And at the same time, because he seeks out that human interaction, it's put him in a very dangerous, vulnerable position. First of all, humans are probably not the smartest species on the planet. That's an understatement. Everybody wants their photo moment with him. So people just jump in the water with him. They stick stuff in his mouth. If you look at his teeth, they're all worn down. He's had fishing hooks caught in him multiple times.
Oh, oh,
And probably the most dangerous thing is that he's been hit by boats multiple times. So he's had
Jesus.
propeller strikes that have left massive gashes in his
Oh,
body. But he's still alive. And we
oh,
created this nonprofit called One Whale with the sole goal of protecting Baltimore. But the silver lining, real quick, to the story is that the town of Hammerfest, where he first showed up and spent almost 4 months, they fell in love with him, and the idea was born to create a sanctuary, a whale reserve, potentially that would be a safe place for him to live. And the silver lining of that is they're not going to turn a very valuable fjord into a whale reserve for just one whale.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
town wants to create this reserve, but it'll be a home for many, many whales. Valdemar might actually never, we can talk about why, but he might actually never live there. But there's, as we are talking, there's over 300 belugas living in concrete tanks and shopping malls around the world.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And there's 56 orcas living in marine parks being
Right.
shown, for our profit and entertainment. And as consciousness shifts around the use of these animals in those ways, they're going to need a home. So we are creating a solution that is called the Norwegian Whale Reserve for these animals that are currently living in captivity. So Valdemir's story is tragic. It's sad.
But
And at
not
the same
over.
time,
But not
not
over.
over, not over. And there's hopefully going to be a happy ending for a lot of whales because of him.
Well, Rich, it's so, oh God, there's so many things I'd love to talk to you about this because when I first met you, I was like, oh my God, this whole story is so sad, fascinating, but also very hopeful. We first met, you said something that I loved. You said there's all these people who go to the malls or SeaWorld, or I don't mean to bring that up, or a place where you would see these animals in captivity and what have you, and they go, oh my God, this is so sad. We need to get them out of there. Everyone's hearts, most
Yeah.
people's hearts are in
Yeah.
the right place, but your organization, which is the exciting part, said, wait a minute, where's the solution in that, right? Because it's like, oh, we could get them out of there. You said that they're ready to let them go, but there's nowhere to put them.
That's
That's
right.
where your organization comes in. That's where I'm so jazzed and excited about this because
Yeah.
it started with our little guy, but and he's still out there, trying to figure it out on his own, which breaks my heart. I know people when they hear this are going to be really sad, but I love that you guys are like, you're doing everything you need to do. Where are you right now with this? Now, is it a sanctuary or a refuge or
It'll be a whale reserve.
reserve? Okay.
There's a specific fjord that has been designated to be the reserve. You asked, where are we at with it right now? In this moment, there's a water study taking place to make sure that it's suitable for whales. And then the next level is to do a risk assessment. So once these two studies are done, the town of Hammerfest will do a second vote. They voted March 23rd of this year, 2023, to move the project forward. And they almost unanimously voted in favor. And then they'll do a vote again to turn that exact fjord into a reserve. And we kind of call it the fjord of dreams. It's a build it and they will come moment. So quite candidly, as you can imagine, as most nonprofit projects are, the number one need is funding. If we have the money, we can get this thing built, and I'm extremely confident that we'll be able to get the whales, because they're, as you said, we're very solution focused. It's one thing to just be, empty the tanks, and to protest. There's nowhere for these whales to go. You cannot take a whale that's been in captivity for many, many years and just dump them in the ocean and expect him to live. It's honestly, it's a miracle to me that Valdemar is still alive. These whales will need to be fed. They will need to be cared for. So we are very much a pro whale organization, not an anti-captivity organization. We want to work with the captivity industry. We can help them to retire their whales back into the ocean where they belong and really create a win-win.
Rich, again, you said something that just gave me chills. I love that you said we want to work with these people. We're not anti what they're doing. All I know is we are still working with some archaic ways of entertainment. I mean, I grew up going to the zoo. I grew up going to see all these places where the animals, mammals, or whatever, were there, and for our entertainment. I do remember being a little girl though, going, I don't know, are they happy in those
Something
cages?
doesn't seem right?
Why? And my parents were like, yeah, they're fine. Okay. And I'd walk away shaking my head going, I don't know if I'd want to be in that cage, right? So We do have, I feel, a lot of people. First of all, we have some people I think who've got a lot of money, who I think would love to donate their money to this cause. Number one. Two, I think that when people hear people like you saying, we're not saying anti anything. This is not
Right.
a blame thing.
Yeah.
That's in the past.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
agree.
into being in the problem. I think when people are still pointing the fingers as to the why, you're
Yeah.
in the problem still,
Well
right?
said.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
when you're
pro
in the,
whale, not anti-captivity. It's
yeah,
I don't consider us activists. We're conservationists. We just
there
want
you
to,
go.
these are our most sacred animals.
Yes.
There's, in my opinion at least, there's no more sacred animal, no more sentient, wise animal than a whale. They're a lot more wise than we are. And that's why I started with my little backstory of having 2,000 encounters with wild dolphins and whales here in Laguna Beach and other places around the world. It's like, how can I give back to these animals that have given me so much? And if I
Mm.
can spend the rest of my life scooping up animals that are whales that are in concrete tanks. When I was a little kid, I grew up in Florida, and we used to go to Disney World all the time.
Yeah.
And I was always like, I'd rather go to SeaWorld. I want to go see the animals. As a little kid, I didn't realize, like, what you did, like, something doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
I went on a little adventure a couple weeks ago, or yeah, earlier this last month. I hadn't been to SeaWorld since I was a little kid. So I had a partner from the Norwegian Whale Reserve in town. He was visiting from Norway, and we went to SeaWorld just to check it out. It was hard. It was really, really hard to see these animals. They had
Mm.
8 orcas, they had 3 beluga whales, they're still doing shows, and it just motivated me more to do the work that we're doing.
Well, yeah, we also have to retrain the public on how to get your entertainment. There
Right.
isn't anything more exciting and fun, like you said, to be out in the ocean, like where you actually have one-on-one contact with them and you're in their world, you appreciate their world, you
That's right.
respect their world. When we take them out of their world and put them in our world, that's where it gets really messy. And
I think you just hit the number one problem we face as a species. Human beings have lost connection with the natural world. Not
yeah,
everybody's going to get on a paddle board like me and go paddle with a 100-foot whale. I get that. But wherever you are, we can take our shoes off and get our feet in the dirt, our feet in the sand, and reconnect with nature. We've created this separation,
yes.
and we're so addicted to our phones and computers and whatnot. We've lost that connection. And as a result, we're doing a lot of things to harm this planet in a
It's
huge
true.
way.
And I don't see people happy about that. We've
No.
got a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of angst. We've got a lot of like cognitive dissonance going on. And there is a new movement that I feel really proud again to be involved with, which is it's exactly what you're talking about. We're trying to ignore the noise, keep your poise, find out what your authentic self is. Are your actions in line with the way your morals and your ethics are? I mean, are you saying and believing in one thing and yet your actions are not matching that? Because that's cognitive dissonance. And you either got to change the way you feel, the way you think, the way you believe, or change your action. But otherwise, you're always going to be in internal conflict, right? So when you go to these places and you enjoy the animals, but yet in your heart, oh, it's really sad. Well, every time you go, you right now, I think smarter people can come to the table and go, well, hold on. We don't have to get rid of entertainment. No one's saying that, like you said. There's maybe another way. And I do know that the people that you and I are working with, the Way Station Nation 2.0, they're thinking of amazing ways to incorporate animals with people that doesn't harm the animal. And I think will make people feel better.
That's right.
No one's saying we don't want anybody being around animals. We're not saying that, but we do have to be really mindful of how to do that. Back in the old days, we did it. We just, like you said, we just took them and put them in a cage and then charged at the door.
That's
And
right.
we know better now. We know
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm extremely excited to be part of this movement. I love your organization, madly in love with it. And I know everyone who's listening is going to be like, oh my God, in the show notes, everybody in the show notes, we're going to give you all the information. You can get a hold of Rich and read it more about what they are doing. But right now, we're going to go into speaking of beliefs and stuff. Oh,
Uh-oh.
he's smiling for those of
Uh-oh.
you who can't see him on video. Okay, here we go. Rich, do you believe
Yes.
in the paranormal or supernatural? Yes or no, and why? I love the smile on your face.
I mean, the idea that
Uh-huh.
this planet that we are on, I'll share 2 thoughts on that question. didn't know was coming, but should have expected. The idea that this planet could be the only planet out of an infinite amount. I remember years ago, I just moved to Laguna Beach and I was walking on the beach with a friend of mine who is literally a rocket scientist.
Oh, no, like a real rocket scientist.
Literally, yeah. And he picked up a handful of sand and he put his hand out towards me and he said, Rich, do you know that for every grain of sand on the earth, there is 1 million known other planets in the universe? And I said, no, I didn't know that. And he says, do you know how many grains of sand are in this one handful of sand? I said, no. He said 100,000, meaning there is, and you couldn't come up with the number for how many stars, planets are out there in the universe. So my point is the idea that we happen to be on the only one that has life seems like I remember Jodie Foster in the movie Contact, she said, if we're the only planet with life, that seems like a pretty big waste of space.
I didn't know.
Then,
I never saw the movie, but I love that.
Oh my God. I just watched Contact. It was made like in the 90s, I think. It holds its weight today. It's an excellent movie. I love it. And the other thing I'd say, you and I actually did have a conversation about this documentary called The Phenomenon.
Which I have to watch. Yes.
Which you have to watch. And what I love about it is at the end, they interview all these children. I think they were in South Africa, somewhere in Africa. When they were like in elementary school, they had this experience, the entire school, including the teachers, where there was aliens that landed at their school and they came out of their little rocket ship. And all the kids had communication with the aliens. And it wasn't verbal communication, it was nonverbal communication. And they interviewed every one of these little kids separately, like a few dozen of them. And they all said the exact same thing. And when you watch it, you're like, this cannot be made up. This has to be real. But what they communicated was essentially that the aliens had been searching the whole galaxy, and the Earth, our planet, was the only one they found that had the resources to sustain human life. We have this thing called air to breathe, and water and food and all these resources. And the message that the aliens had to us little earthlings was, am I allowed to swear on your show? Or should
Oh my God, I say fuck all the time.
What their message was, what the fuck are you guys doing? You are living in heaven on earth.
Yeah.
And you're destroying it. And when you watch this movie, you'll see when the aliens come here, they come to our nuclear power plants. They come to places and they're like, what are you guys doing? So whether you believe it or not, it's a very strong message. And I think whether you believe in alien life or not, and something tells me your audience probably does,
because they're cool.
It's kind of undeniable that we are absolutely destroying this planet and something needs to shift.
Oh my God, I agree with you 1,000%. You know, it's so true because I always say to people, first of all, if they want to hurt us, they would have by now. Okay.
Okay. Every movie, what happens in every movie about aliens? They come down and they start, they're blowing us away. Why? Because that's what we would do if we went to another planet. We would just take over.
Yeah.
You think they would come here and destroy us because that's the way we think. That's what we would do.
So true. It's like that narrative gets shoved into all these movies, except for E.T. is the only one, right? Or one of the few that are made where it's actually like, hey, we're just different. Okay. We come from, like, you may come from a different country. They come from a different universe or parallel universe, or I'm not sure about any of that, but I do know this is that you're right. We're classically conditioned to be afraid. You know, we're supposed to be afraid from little kids, right? We're told to be afraid of A, B, and C. So I love the idea of my podcast. I get to like say, hey, hold on, everybody, be curious. It's okay, because fear is never a good way to go through life anyways. Okay, unless you've had a bad experience with one, why go to the fear card? Go to the curious card.
I like that.
Right?
It's curiosity, which we need a lot more. And that's goes back to what we're saying about how we're going to save the planet. Be curious about it. Where do you live? Go outside, get in nature, discover where you live. Be curious.
It almost feels like the pendulum has swung so far out of whack. when it comes to the basics of mankind, humankind, animals, our planet, and everything else around us, the beauty of what life represents, we're so out of whack that now we have an opportunity to get that pendulum to go the other
That's
way.
right.
We now know what it means to literally have like a runaway planet,
Yeah, and
right?
that pendulum needs to swing quick because we no longer have the
Yeah.
luxury of time. We are seeing it in this moment, the impacts that the humans are having in a negative way. So
Absolutely, which is why on this show I'm only allowing sponsors on who are actually part of the solution, who are
right,
making bags out of, I don't know, leaves or
leaves.
bras out of coconuts, whatever. Just cute. Well, actually, that would be a really cute outfit.
That's been
But
done.
look at the coconuts. But like, I'm like, I want to give all of the, especially these are startup new companies who are coming with these innovative ways to be part of the solution. And it's not that I have any problem with the more expensive ones who could probably give my show a lot more money. But right now, it's not about profit. I like to just pay my rent, okay, and buy my boys Domino's pizzas. Yes, I know, I know. But for me, less waste. So if Down with Dedee can be a part of that, I'm so excited to give them a shot at like shouting out their products and what have you.
Nice.
Now, when it comes to, so you believe, I love that about you. Not that I wouldn't love you if you didn't. Because right now in the news, it's all over the news right now. We have a whistleblower out there. We have Congress all of a sudden saying, "Oh yeah, yeah." Now I don't need Congress or the government to tell me, "Yeah, yeah." I don't. I believe for a long time. But what I think is interesting is that right now there are more sightings. There's a lot more paranormal activity, and we have shows like Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, and which I have to turn you on to. It's like the best. Anyways, there's a lot of phenomena going on that are truly unexplainable. They are beyond our engineering, our science, our know-how. So to me, that's some other intelligence. And I don't think it's an accident that they're here. And I think it's
Hmm.
exactly what you said. I think that they're coming down saying, "Hey, yo, neighbors downstairs,
Wake
what
up.
are you doing? Can you
Wake up.
stop it?" Yeah, or
Yeah.
from the seas. Maybe they're coming up from the seas. Speaking of that, what animal would you like to be reincarnated as and why? Again, we have another smile. I love it.
If I could be reincarnated as any animal, I'm gonna have to go with dolphin. Not surprising, but I want to say why. Because I would say either a whale or a dolphin. I'm just gonna go with dolphin because you they live in a state of total joy and bliss.
Yeah.
They live in, I believe, the same state as human beings are meant to live in. If you look at a little baby, they're in a little state of bliss. And if something's wrong, they're going to cry their eyes out until they get what they want. And then they go right back to being in bliss. And because of, like you mentioned, the fear that we are taught, we have moved away from our natural state. And I'm at a point in my life where I like to be on that ocean as much as possible and to spend as much time as possible with those dolphins, because when I'm with them, I get to feel some of that presence and joy and bliss that is their natural state that they live in. And the contrast between that, and I've been saying this for years now, the more time I spend with the dolphins, the harder it is actually, honestly, for me to spend time with humans.
Yes.
It really is. So I just like to, I would absolutely be a dolphin. They have sex with nonstop. They do. They have sex for pleasure. Humans and dolphins are the only animals that have sex for pleasure.
Amen.
But
It's
the
all good.
difference is I've never seen a dolphin get jealous. They take care of each other. I'll give you one final reason I love these dolphins. So I've been watching this a lot lately. I'll be paddleboarding and there'll be a big bait ball, a big ball of fish. And all of a sudden the dolphins will come up to that bait ball. They will feed on that bait ball for a couple minutes and then they move on and they go find the next bait ball. They could stay there and destroy that entire bait ball and have all the food they would want. But they're smart enough to know just take enough to leave those fish intact and then move on. What would humans do?
Oh, wow.
We
Well,
destroy the whole thing,
take the
right?
whole damn
Take
bait
the whole
ball
damn ball.
and leave a net behind to get stuck in a seal's neck and whales and
Exactly. Exactly. Well,
wow.
we can learn a lot from a dolphin, and if I
Yeah.
can be reincarnated, that would be a much higher
Oh,
level of species, in my opinion, than to be a human.
I love that. And I love your reasoning. And it's true. When you look at a dolphin's face, it's always smiling. And they always seem to have, they elude this positive young, you know what it is? They have like a young soul. I think that when, if there is
They're all
reincarnation,
like new souls.
they're all like
Almost.
little
Yeah.
baby souls who got it really right
Yeah.
in the time
That's
before.
right.
Like I don't think anybody
That's
else
right.
crotchety who was all fucked up in a time before past life, then or did something really horrible, and then went to a dolphin. I mean, unless
No.
maybe that I don't think that that's probably it.
Right. No, you
Oh
got
my
it.
God. You know, my sister, oh, I don't know if this is going to air before or after. Well, we may have to cut it out. My sister, Michelle also said a dolphin.
You have a
So I just
sister
want,
named Michelle? I didn't know that.
oh yeah, no, yeah, that I think,
Wait,
well,
she also
actually,
said dolphin?
she did.
Nice.
Yeah,
Can we
and my
set a
best friend
goal? Can we set a goal
to
and
meet
hope
her
that,
and
well,
like go
no.
hang out with her.
I want you and your sister
Oh,
here in Laguna Beach, and I will take you out on the ocean and we'll go see all the dolphins and whales together. You
I
in or
would
you
love
in?
I would love that, but I have that same kind of virus disease you do, where I would rather be around animals all day long and
Same.
then realize, oh God, I need to go see a person. I talk to my animals. I'm in the kitchen all the time with my animals, and my boys are in there, and they're like, "Oh, is your mom like, you know, is she in there visiting with someone?" They're like, "No, she's just talking to her animal, all of our animals. We have conversations. They give me attitude. I tell them I don't appreciate their snark. I give them a treat. Yeah, like I really have like I have more conversations with my animals than I do my children.
Mhm.
I'm with you on that. As a little girl, I also was always in the backyard or in the front yard or up the street holding some rescued animal that I had, trying to think how am I going to talk my mom and dad into keeping it
Yeah.
because make me go bring it back. And I crying because it was all
Mm.
about the animals. So I got to tell you, Rich, being involved with you and Blaine and Lindsay and company is literally a little girl's dream come true, that I get to be part of the solution when it comes to
Mm.
helping animals. And I also love that it's coming from a positive, loving place, not blame, not back there in the past where there's no
Right.
healing back there. The healing is in the now, right?
Totally. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank
Rich,
you.
thank you so much for coming on down with Dee Dee. This has
Can I,
been great.
can I say one final thing?
Oh, honey, you can say anything you want.
I don't know when this is going to air, but I want to congratulate you. I saw your post yesterday, which might have been a few weeks ago or a month ago. Doesn't matter. But I want to congratulate you on 5 years of sobriety. I know it's
Thank
a
you.
huge deal, and just want to say good job.
Thank you. It is. This whole show stems from my sobriety. It's one of the
Mm.
many ways we not only talk about sobriety in some of the episodes, but also it's my showing people when you choose recovery, when you choose living versus slowly dying, the opportunities are just unlimited, you know? So I want people hopefully who are recovering going, wow, she went, I'm telling you, 5 years ago yesterday, which was when I was going to rehab, I was a very scared woman going through menopause, I might add. And it was a pretty low time in my life, as you can imagine. And if you would have told me then, 5 years from now, you're going to be doing your own podcast and you're going to be talking to these amazing new friends like Rich, and he's going to be doing monumental things for the earth, I'd go, you are crazy. I've never been more low in my life. So
Mm.
that's what recovery looks like, and meeting people like you as well.
Mm. Well, this is all about you right now. When I congratulate you, thank you
Thank
for that.
you. And
But I
thank
just,
you, Rich, for caring about our Mother Earth and all of those around you. I promise you that there's more people than you know that are going to, when they find out about what you're doing, they're going to be like, oh, yes, yes, people care. Okay, I'm not the only one, but you're actually going to physically go and do something about it. And we're going to show other people how they can help you do that in the show notes.
we need help, and
Yeah.
I'm very open to it. There's a lot of animals that need our help, and I think that's our job, is to help. Um, I think it's twofold: to help the animals that cannot help themselves, like these animals that did not choose a life of captivity. And last thing I'll say, I was talking to a really good friend of mine, actually a colleague, not a really good friend, hope someone that will become a better friend over time, more of a colleague. He's an author, and he's a very smart man by the name of Wallace J. Nichols. He wrote a book called Blue Mind. And I was just talking to him about the project and seeing who connections he had and whatnot. And he said, Rich, you know, you're not saving whales. And I said, Jay, what are you talking about? Of course we're saving whales. We're going to help these whales that are in captivity. He said, no. He goes, you're not saving whales. He goes, you might save some whales in the process. He goes, but what you're really doing is saving humans. And it actually kind of ties into why you years ago maybe put yourself in a position where you didn't love yourself and you were going to slowly kill yourself. He's like,
Yeah.
what the world needs now more than anything is more love, more empathy, more sympathy. And by saving these whales, you're showing people what it means to love. And if there's anything the world
Oh.
needs now, it's more love.
Rich, you are so correct. I love what you just said, and it's so true because I do believe I have not given up on mankind completely. I do believe that, from what I understand, stats say more than 95% of all mankind around the world do care about each other and animals and the Mother Earth. They really do. That is actually, those are stats. That's a study that was done. So I just think if we can give them the opportunity and show them how they can help be
Yes.
part of the solution,
There you
we're
go.
just really going to make, well, we're going to move mountains and we're also going to move belugas.
And orcas.
And orcas and anything else that needs saving. I love this organization. Rich, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Dedee.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. Thanks.
For more information on today's guest, check out the show notes below or visit our website at www.downwithdedee.com.